Welcome to Zodiac Exclusive. My name is John Paul Kayuni. In the program today, I will be engaging the Indian High Commissioner to Malawi, His Excellency Amararam Gujar. Welcome, Your Excellency, to the program.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kayuni. Welcome.
Yes, so the coming India-Africa Summit is the fourth.
Yes.
How would you say the summit, the previous summits have benefited Malawi, or both countries, Malawi and India?
Okay. So, thank you very much, Mr. Kayuni, once again. And let me tell you that this summit, the fourth edition of India-Africa Forum Summit is taking after the gap of 11 years. Last India-Africa Forum Summit took place in 2015. And what is the difference between two India-Africa Forum Summit? First difference is that last time we have invited only the 54 members countries of African Union. But this time, and some special invitees also, but this time we have invited the regional economic communities also, especially like Sadc, COMESA, ECOWAS, the Arab Maghreb Union, and then the World Bank, IMF, Africa Exim Bank, etc., African CDC. So this is one difference. And with regard to your point, what Malawi got benefit from the third India-Africa Forum Summit 2015. So I want to mention here that during the third edition of India-Africa Forum Summit, the government of India announced $10 billion soft loan for whole African countries, and 50,000 scholarships, and $700 million tune of the grants to the all members of African Union. So what Malawi got benefit out of these three verticals? So Malawi also got around $395.68 million soft loans were offered by government of India. Second, in scholarship, since India-Africa Forum Summit 2015, Malawian, around 1700 Malawians professionals from private sector or public sectors, they also got training for mid and short term courses, which we call ITech program. And around 200 Malawian youths, they got a scholarship from India to get and to pursue their higher studies in premier Indian universities. To get undergraduate and postgraduate degree courses. And with regard to the grant, of course, we have given some grants to Malawi in the last 10 years, we can say. One of the example I want to tell you that we have given a $1 million grant to set up a business incubation center in Empanela to process the fruits. Myself also had visited, so I found it very interesting because it plays a very important role in training and food processing sector.
Now, how would you say the summits have benefited the people on the African continent and the Indian subcontinent?
So in African continent, as I have said that because we have offered, of course, soft loans of around $10 billion. So around 200, more than 200 projects under this $10 billion outlay of soft loans, government of India carried out in various African countries. Majority of projects either they were in infrastructure development, or some educational field, some healthcare sectors, so and some electricity, power generations, hydropower, so and some agriculture sector also. So it has benefit to the people of African continents. And secondly, also scholarship, what I have said, that 50,000 scholarship which we offered, and we always believe that human capital development. So that was directly targeted to the African youths and African professionals either they are in public sector or in the private sector.
Now, specifically, what are the have been the economic gains of these summits to your country, India, economically?
So you mean this forthcoming India Africa Forum Summit?
No, the summits that have happened previous
Okay.
summits.
So economic gain, India's relationship with Africa, we always do not believe in like give and take, of course, because India is a very emerging player in the world, and especially we are considering ourselves as a voice of global South partner countries. I will not narrow it down to the prism of like a completely transactional way, like what benefit India got and what benefit African got, because India's relationship with Africa always guided in the spirit of Ubuntu, I am, because we are, and the Vasudev Kutumbakam, the whole world is one family. That is the spirit which we believe, and we also strongly believe that grow together as equal partner. So this is our spirit, and of course economic also plays a very important role. So I think is trade and investments activities also significantly were increased once we launched this institutional framework mechanism to engage our African partner countries through India Africa Forum Summit since 2008.
Now, the coming Indian Africa Forum Summit.
Yes.
How different is it from the previous ones?
So the next one.
Yes.
So forthcoming summit, of course, since as I have said that since it is taking place after a gap of more than around 11 years, so there is of course a lot of expectations from both end, from Indian end also, and from our African partner side also. And we this time we are thinking beyond like traditional trade and investments, and so now we are living in a era of fast evolving technology. So this time we are trying to focus on more like technology based and infrastructure development, and which one we call is the digital public infrastructure, especially DPI. So in that is this time is our focus, and we want to have a more technological oriented partnership.
Now, in your view, what are the benefits or what are the opportunities for Malawi?
Yes.
In the upcoming summit?
So upcoming summit, Malawi of course has an opportunity, because this would provide an excellent platform to the Malawian leadership to interact and engage with the African partners, of course, and more than that with the Indian leadership. So what Malawi would get benefit, as I have said that this time our focus is more on like technological based partnership. So no country should left behind in the technological advancement and technological know-how. So that's what we believe. So if Malawi participates in this India Africa Forum Summit, certainly there would be many avenues for Malawi which would open the gates for technological advancement. I am giving you one small example. Like a digital public infrastructure, one of the small initiative, it is called Unified Payment Interface, UPI. Myself has attended the parliament session of Malawi when the Honorable President Professor Peter Mutharika addressed the State of the Nation address. So Excellency President has himself mentioned in his speech that during his tenure, it is his and his government's top priority is to make Malawian economy more formal and more effective and more like transparent. So what is the way forward? Way forward is that you should have the financial inclusion of the people as much as possible. Then only the economy would be more formalized and there would be a effectiveness comes into the economy also. So that also is one of the, I think is there are many also, but this could be like one of the benefit which I can just tell you. But there are other than that there are many also benefits also which Malawi could just look into it, and which Malawi would be beneficiary.
In your view, what are the what is the state of the bilateral relations? In your view,
Yes.
what is the state of bilateral relations between Malawi and India?
So, as Malawi and India, our relations are very historic in nature, and our relationship goes back to more than century back. So, we people of both countries are familiar with each other, and so our relationship is very deep rooted in robust people to people contacts and cultural connects, strong cultural connects. But more than that, we have a very frequent and regular exchange of high level visits at the political and leadership level. That also provides momentum to reinvigorate the bilateral relationship between the two countries, and also the development partnership, that what I have mentioned before that, because under the development partnership initiative, the government of India provides soft loan for Malawi to develop its own capacity and manufacturing and industrialization, and grant also. And then also we have a capacity building, like we always believe to train Malawian young people in India so that they can meaningfully contribute in Malawi's economy. So this is the over, of course, and trade and economics, that is also very important. Our trade is very not very substantive in nature, which we want to have a more trade with Malawi, and there are many upcoming and emerging sectors where both countries could focus on it. But investment, we are much better, because India or Indians have invested almost $500 million investments in across sectors in Malawi. So that I think is fairly, we are very satisfied that $500 million investment is size, given the size of Malawi, I think it is satisfactory. But there is of course further scope.
Now on trade, how better do you intend to improve that?
Yes, so bilateral trade was a little better before COVID period. Let me just tell you that. Before COVID, it was around in the range of 225 million or 250 million dollar bilateral trade. But COVID had an impact on the bilateral trade. So present last financial year, bilateral trade registered around $170 million. But the trade is almost balanced, not highly in favor of particular country. Like India exports around, you can say, $94 million, and Malawi also exports around $76 million. So it is more or less trade is very balanced. But of course, there are many sectors which we could focus on just to re-energize the bilateral trade. And after COVID, we should certainly, I think, is put more efforts from both sides.
Now, India has been linked with Malawi since the 1800s, and Malawi is where it is now, and with India where she is now, shoulder to shoulder with the superpowers. Where are we getting it wrong?
So absolutely, I think you have rightly just put in correct context, because India was also a British colony, and Malawi was also a British colony, and we got independence 17 years before Malawi got independence, 1947 precisely. India got independence and Malawi got in 1964.
Yeah.
But in India, I think we have taken a major stride, to develop our capacity and to boost industrialization, and in all sectors. So now we have become the fourth largest economy of the world. But there is not a one particular factor which I can mention that, but there are multiple factors which played a very big role uh, behind our success and behind this our journey to become the fourth largest economy. Of course, Malawi also has a lot of potential. When I joined here as Indian High Commissioner, my first impression was that Malawi in today's state, one India also was in the similar state, almost similar state in 1970s and 80s. But in last 30, 40 years, we have made a significant, progress. So, due to our skilled people and very hardworking people. Of course, Malawi people are also very hardworking, very sincere, but it needs a more, I think, push from the government side as well as the by people side also, because it is a team effort. Only if people and leadership are aligned and working in a similar direction to take the nation at the next level, it is possible.
Yeah. Now, Malawi and India are both members, or they belong to the UN, the United Nations.
Yes.
How are you collaborating at that level and other multilateral forums?
Yes, India is a UN member. Of course, Malawi is also a UN member, and we are member in many other entities also, UN agencies also. So, and recently I am glad to just inform you that Malawi has joined the initiative led and taken by Government of India. One is the International Solar Alliance, which Malawi also is a member.
Yes.
And the another one, it is a very recent one, which is called International Big Cat Alliance. So that also Malawi has recently joined as a member in International Big Cat Alliance. So we are collaborating on, of course, in a UN framework also, because both countries, shares the common views on almost all kind of issues like rule of law, democratic principle of democratic principles, and the finding the amicable solution through negotiation or through peaceful manner for the all conflicts or crises across the globe. So we have the identical and similar views on the global issues. So it provides us much leeway to closely work with the countries who has the we call a like-minded partner. So I think we work very well in UN and other UN agencies, and also Malawi also positively responded to India-led initiative what I have mentioned, that they are member in ISA and International Big Cat Alliance.
Now, India supports a number of projects in Malawi. I will mention the impactful community solar project.
Yes.
Impactful solar project in Malawi. What difference are these making?
So India always believes, strongly believes in sharing know-how and expertise with the developing countries and with the global south countries, partner countries, including Malawi also. So I am very glad that a group of ladies, women, they went to India to get training for the solar mama. They are called a solar mama. So this initiative primarily was to empower the women, especially in rural areas, so they can become self-sufficient in like solar engineer. To they can assemble, they can install, they can maintain the solar driven we can say the equipment. So that was the idea, and as we understand that in Malawi also, of course, it has a power shortage and electricity shortage. So that solar mama project was primarily focused for the rural women, and for only women empowerment, as well as to have the access to the renewable energy, some sort of not depending on the electricity and other power.
Yeah. Now, the lines of credit from India and grant assistance, how have they contributed to the growth in Malawi?
So let me tell you that in the last couple of years, what I have said that India offered a $395.68 million precise figure, the line of credit soft loan to government of Malawi. So some projects are very shining examples. One is Salima sugar factory, then it is a dal processing plant in Luchenja and Livonde. Then cotton ginrich in Nagara, Nagabu and Balaka, and the business incubation center in Emponola. So these are the some examples. Of course, there are many other examples also. So myself also visited to Nagabu cotton ginrich. I had an interaction with farmers. And I visited a business incubation center in Emponola. I had an interaction with the people who were being trained by the business incubation center in food processing. So of course it has a impact on the development in industrialization. So whether government of Malawi was able to optimally utilize this facility or not, that is a different context. But at least we have made some projects which could help to provide local employment or to generate employment for the local people.
Now, you talked about trade and maybe how your government is trying to improve that between the two countries.
Yes.
But what are the main commodities that cross our two borders?
One commodities of India's export basket, there are many. A major is pharmaceutical and engineering goods and mechanical appliances and some automobiles and automotive parts. But from Malawi's export basket, mainly agri-based commodities, like major is the pigeon peach. And then some sort of tea, coffee, macadamia nuts, and some sort of mango, and oil seeds, soya bean, these kind of products which we receive from Malawi. So this is the trade basket. I just want to tell you that.
How much in quantity maybe is Malawi?
Yeah, so if we take from India side, so pharmaceutical, Malawi's import on pharmaceutical from India, it is almost more than 50%. So Malawi's total pharmaceutical requirements comes from India. It is more than 50%. So it is a very significant. And from Malawi to India, it is a significant. India's import from Malawi is pigeon peach, because we have signed an agreement with the government of Malawi to import pigeon peach for our food security, because pigeon peach is essential part of our daily diet.
Now, are there any other areas of cooperation that are being explored?
Yes. So other areas which we are looking at more like especially renewable energy. This is certainly, it is a promising sector and very emerging sector. And then of course pharmaceutical and healthcare, where we are thinking that there is lot needs to be done, especially in Malawi. So this provides also further scope. And third sector which I can say that information technology and digital public infrastructure goods, DPI goods, that is also very upcoming and emerging sector. Of course, Malawi is an English speaking country, and if some Indian companies could establish here a outsourcing, business outsourcing, that is an excellent idea, because any businessman can get a very good English speaking people, which who they can work in the business processing BPOs. So that is also emerging sector. Yes.
Okay. Now, India is known for quality capacity building enablers. What opportunities exist for Malawi in professional growth under the Indian Technical and Economic Cooperation Program?
Yes. So in we provide support to government of Malawi for human capital development, especially for capacity building and training to Malawian youths and Malawian professionals. So there are two verticals. One is the Indian Technical Economic Cooperation (ITEC), where we offer a short and medium term courses. It can be 2 weeks to 4 weeks duration, and this is funded fully by Government of India. In under ITEC also there are two subcategory. One is for civilian people and one for defense personnel. So we also send every year around 20 to 30 Malawian defense personnel also to India to get training in India's defense institution. And then second is the scholarships for pursuing degree courses. And India is, as you know, very well known for very good quality education and affordable. So we also offer a scholarship to Malawian. Earlier, I want to tell you that we were offering 20 scholarship slots to Malawian youths, but this year we have increased 20 to 30.
Now, for the cooperation program, if you have it on top of your head, how many Malawians have benefited and for how long?
So since if we talk about between the period of last 10 years, so I want to precisely tell you that in last 10 years since 2015, which we take as a India Africa Forum Summit 3rd edition. So we have offered in under the ITEC, it is around you can say that 1800 slots. Okay, but utilization was not optimal. So finally utilization was around 1000, and from the scholarship part, that I am very glad that it was 100% utilized, and it is a most sought after scholarship. Even I want to tell you that this year we have invited application for 30 scholarship for pursuing degree courses. So against 30 applications, we have received more than 200 applications. And so that this slots they have always been on a high demand.
Now, but it appears there is little awareness about these scholarships.
Yes.
What is it that you are doing to improve awareness?
I agree with you because sometimes lack of awareness and lack of information. But in last couple of years, of course, embassy always tries to publicize as much as possible through all social media means like and issuing a press release, organizing press conference, and putting on a website. But still, I think people are here not looking at social media. So this where we need to work more hard, because we have to adopt a maybe different approach. So what now we have been doing. So myself, whenever I meet, like suppose I meet a mayor of Mujiju, mayor of Jamba, or like I interact with the local school also and local institution like MUST, UNIMA, then I tell them that we have such a scheme. Please just nominate some people from your side. So we want more and more application.
Yeah.
So in fact, yesterday I met DG Immigration. I requested DG Immigration that we have such a scheme, and please just we would be happy to send a group of people from Malawian Immigration Authority to get them trained in India for cyber security, forensic crime investigation. So we are trying our best to publicize as much as possible. But from Malawian side also, I think they have to also make a concerted efforts.
And how do these scholarship programs strengthen the people to people ties between Malawians and Indians?
So let me just tell you that because we organize every year, it is called ITEC Alumni Day. So in last 1 year, we have organized ITEC Alumni Day in Mujiju, Lilongwe and Blantyre, because country is stretched north to south. So people, I had an interaction with the ITEC alumni. They were very happy and they shared their experiences. So how it helps in boosting people to people context? Certainly it has an impact, because if someone goes to India to spend some like time for 2 weeks or 4 weeks, and of course it is not restricted only to the classrooms, because course is designed in such a way where the participants of ITEC are also allowed or are taken to the some historical sites, some cultural sites, and some scientific sites where they can interact with the scientific community, or to see from their own eyes the India's rich cultural heritage or civilizational history. So, of course, it helps to develop a deep understanding about the culture, values, vision, okay, how the people think, how people they behave, what is India all about, what is India's civilizational, cultural. So it helps certainly. Once they come back, they also, tell the stories or experience, share their experiences with their family members, friends. So that of course it invoke the interest among the people also. Okay, India is such a beautiful country. Why should not I visit India?
Now, the health sector in Malawi is one of the sectors where government continues to face challenges, especially when we talk of access to affordable medicines. And you mentioned that Malawi gets close to 50%
Yes.
of its pharmaceuticals from India.
Yes.
Any opportunities, any way India could help Malawi deal with that?
Yes, so India, is known for of pharmacy of the world, and our pharmaceutical drugs are affordable and generic drugs. So they are not very much expensive. So which only Africa, I think, is Africa and African partner countries are looking at. So the pharmaceutical, of course, we are very much interested to help Malawi and other African countries to strengthen their capacity also. But this should also need a more, efforts and strategy from the host government also. Because I had a interaction with a couple of Indian business people from pharmaceutical and healthcare sector. So, and I told them that Malawi of course needs a very good super specialty hospital and manufacturing of pharmaceuticals here. So why don't you make Malawi as a hub and spoke for the catering the need of pharmaceuticals for the whole SADC region, since it is a very nicely located. So sometimes people told me that if government provides some incentives, they can look into it. So this I think is a area where we can seriously look into it, and I think is we have been working on it. But end of the day, only government's role is a facilitator role, as you know. So that I think is a businessman has to be convinced.
Now, apart from the health sector, we also have a problem in the agriculture sector. I'm sure you are aware that year in, year out, Malawi struggles to feed its population. The food security is not so good. Any opportunities, any way that India could help the Malawian government address that problem?
So Malawi has a lot of potential, if, especially in agriculture sector and food processing sector, because it is a blessed country with such a fertile and arable land, and Malawi hosts the third largest freshwater lake in Africa. So, if we talk about the availability of the natural resources in Malawi, there is a no the lack of the natural resources. The country is abundance of the natural resources, but it has to be tapped into it. So what I think is there should be irrigation development, irrigation system, farm mechanization, and some sort of infrastructure development to create the cold storage chain and to have the food processing capacity, that needs to be done. So India also not very recently, way back we also tried to help our friend Malawi in especially agriculture sector. We also provided them farm equipment and farm machinery, especially tractors and some irrigation systems also. But it is I think is around more than 10 years back. But with regard to address the food insecurity and the vulnerability of the population in terms of food crisis, I think is whenever government of Malawi appeals to the partner countries for seeking assistance or aid, India I think is always responded positively. And I just tell you that last year when Honorable President made an appeal in October that country has been facing the problems in food insecurity. So government of India of course made a like a small gesture that 1000 metric ton of rice government of India has donated to Malawi. The rice donated by government of India, it has reached already in Mumvera port in Mozambique. So in next week, I think it would be reaching to Malawi also, Lilongwe also.
Now, are you looking into supporting where there is an appeal by providing foodstuffs or
not
or
necessary.
helping the country to grow its own?
Yes, so the not necessary that we always respond to the appeal. It is not like that. What I have said that in around 10 years before, around 2014-15, we supplied farm machineries and farm equipments and irrigation system also. So that was not like appeal made by anyone, So, but like a Freddy cyclone in 23, there was a cyclone hit hardly hit the population. So India was the first responder to just send the humanitarian aid in form of a medicine, in form of a food, in terms of other disaster relief materials. So we always stand ready to help in whichever way or whatever possible manner to help our friends especially. But of course the sustainable solution, what I have said that there should be a irrigation system that should be developed, and then farm mechanization also should be done. That is a long term solution, and some infrastructure improvement and development also.
Now, Malawi is currently implementing some irrigation projects. You think they are not enough?
Sorry?
Malawi is currently,
yes.
There are some irrigation projects that Malawi is currently undertaking.
Yes.
The Shire Valley
yes.
irrigation system.
Correct.
Is that enough? Is that not enough?
No, because like country is a very big, and I want to tell you that myself also visited Sire Valley, the irrigation project also. It is near to Chikwawa, after Chikwawa. It is working, but since country is a very stretched from north to south, and you have a very big third largest lake. So of course it has an impact of Sire Valley River agriculture projects, but maybe it is not enough. It needs more and more kind of such projects spread across country, even in north also, even in the central also, like near to Salima, near to like Kota, and like north also, like Chintenche, etc., Koronga. So of course, I think, but of course, Malawi has been doing and it has been trying its best. But rivers, Sire River Valley kind of projects, I think country needs more and more. Yes.
Now, India and Malawi are culturally very rich, and I'm aware there is an exchange program between the two countries. What is it that is being done to strengthen that so that both sides benefit?
So culturally, we are having a very strong connection because our relationship are very strong in the cultural front. So we are having a very institutional mechanism which is called cultural exchange program. So under that cultural exchange program, almost every year we send a cultural troupe from Malawi to India to participate in various Indian cultural festivals. So in last in like 8 months tenure, let me just give you a very small example. In last 8 months, I have sent one cultural troupe. It was a 17-member cultural troupe to India in January for 15 days. Now again we are sending the Malawian dance form. It is called Gule Wakamulu.
Yes.
Yes, so that 13 to 14 members again they would be going to India to participate in India Africa Forum Summit's cultural aspect. And we are sending some mural artists and artisans also. So from this side, and from India side also, the last time we had a cultural troupe from Rajasthan, and they performed in Mount Sinai School and for the Diwali celebration. So we are having a very strong cultural exchanges program.
Now, is there anything that the Indian government is working with the Malawian government in relation to climate change and sustainable development goals?
Yes, so in that part, climate change, the government of India helps, in developing Malawi's capacity to, deal with the climate risk and, like through the various training programs. So, under the ITEC umbrella, there are some institutes in India. They offer capacity building courses to deal with the climate challenges aspect. So that is one part. And second aspect, what it has been already discussed, that we have sent a particular group of women to India for the solar electrification. It is called Solar Mama, to empower rural area women. So that also you can look into at a larger framework of climate change. And sustainable development, of course, nowadays every project whichever are executed either under the soft loan or under the grant. So there should be a feasibility study, which is we call. So the sustainability is essential part of the any project nowadays. So on that front, which we are working, but That's it.
Now, back to the fourth India African Summit.
Yes.
How can Malawian businesses position themselves to take advantage of this summit and the opportunities coming out from this summit?
So, in fact, very timely question. Today morning, in fact, I had a very detailed discussion with Honorable Finance Minister regarding this business aspect. So, there is a one big program which would be running parallelly to the India Africa Forum Summit at a leadership level, which is called India Africa Business Dialogue and Exhibition. So, it would be organized from 28th to 30th May. So, which we are trying to send some Malawian business people through MITC and through Malawi Chamber of Commerce and Industry MCCI in Blantyre. So, they can just visit to this India Africa business dialogue and exhibition to participate and to interact with Indian business people, to shape and to attract investment to Malawi. So, this would be, in my view, ideal platform for any serious Malawian businessman to look at the India Africa Business Dialogue, which is held on the sideline of India Africa Forum Summit, and it would be a good platform for them to develop the networking and to attract more investments in whichever sectors they are working.
Now, how can this partnership through the India Africa Summit help Malawi move from raw production to value added exports?
Yes, so I completely agree with you, because present government led by Excellency President Peter Mutharika, their focus is also on the having the domestic capacity for processing, not exporting the material in a raw form. So, I think so some investment can be attracted from any country to set up the processing plant here. Just give you a small example, like if we talk about mining sector.
Yes.
So, if some miners produce a raw material of uranium or raw material of gold, so I think the investors should be just told that at least he should process in some sort of refining locally. Then he or she can be allowed to send it to their whichever countries they want to send it. So, of course, it will help to give a boost in the local Malawian economy also.
Now, Your Excellency, before we conclude, India is an interesting nation.
Yes.
Poverty levels are high, so high, and so too is the economic development.
Yes.
New Delhi, for example, a place lives side by side.
Sorry? Yes.
Yes, lives side by side
Yes.
with deep poverty. What's the philosophy?
So, India, has a population of 1.45 billion people. But let me tell you that in 10 years back, in 2015 and now in 2026, we have brought out the 171 million people out of poverty in last 10 years. This is the figure which I am telling you that. So, how we have made it happen? Because government made a special efforts to generate employment, to boost economic activities. In 2015, India's GDP was around $2 trillion. Now, in last 10 years, now in 2025 or now present age, our economy is more than $4 trillion economy. So look at in 10 years we have doubled the size of our economy. So what does it mean? It has translated into having more economic activities, having more avenues for the young people to get the job, having a more employment generation. That's what that is why we have just elevated 171 million people from out of poverty. But of course, still we have to go long way. And but I think our government has continuously making a sincere efforts to bring the country out of bring the people from the poverty. And my government has a very vision which is called Vision 2047. So that resolve,
2047.
yes, Vision
And
2047.
we have 2063 here.
Yes, so that also has some similarity. So when India would be celebrating its centenary of its independence in 2047, by that time our leadership and government of India wants to make India as a developed nation. So we are very much on the track, and you would see when we reach to the 2047, there would be no poverty in India, and India would be a completely different, and it would be a completely developed nation, which we call the Viksit Bharat, fully developed nation by 2047, and economic size would be around like $30 trillion, 30 to 40 trillion dollar economy.
Now, on the contrary, we have our Malawi 2063 development blueprint, and looking at the previous years that we've been implementing it, it seems the country is not doing so well. What are the key secrets, key secrets that you think Malawi can borrow or learn from your country in achieving this development blueprint?
So there is no secret, frankly speaking, because if what it all about needs, it needs completely vision and action. So I think leadership and the people of the country all come together and to have a a strong willpower to take country to the next level. So I think it is possible, but there is no secret, because what I have said, then last 10 years we have made our country's GDP almost double, 2 trillion to more than $4 trillion, and now I am talking about 2047, which is like 21 years ahead from today. That time we are looking at a $40 trillion economy. So 4 to $40 trillion economy. So that is doable, and we just government wants to make extra efforts. People are also encouraged and motivated to do work hard and to work for the nation. So it is all about the which we call the sankalp, the resolve. It is a national resolve, which we all are just trying to take our country to the next level. And now people of India has already made up their mind to take country to the next level by 2047. So that is our national resolve, and which we would be confidently able to make it happen. Yes.
Your Excellency, thank you very much for being in the program today.
Thank you very much. Nice meeting you, and
Yes.
it was honor to have you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And that's it from Zodiac Exclusive. In the program today, I was talking to the Indian High Commissioner to Malawi, His Excellency Amarala Mkuja. Till we meet again next time, it's goodbye for now.